After giving my family $200,000 over 5 years, I faked losing everything to see who actually loved me. I worked endless night shifts as a nurse to fund their emergencies because after my parents died when I was 19, keeping family close became worth any price. At my nephew's medical school graduation that I'd half-funded, I heard my sister laughing with our aunt saying, "She's single with no kids, so what else does she need money for anyway?" My coffee cup shook as I realized I wasn't family to them, just an ATM with a pulse. But I drove home planning to cover her honeymoon anyway, because saying no meant admitting I'd already lost them. 3 weeks later, Eleanor, a patient whose family never visited, died and left me her entire pharmaceutical fortune worth $45 million because I was the only one who treated her like family. I sat in the hospital bathroom staring at the legal documents for 20 minutes, certain the lawyer had made a mistake. That gave me the perfect idea to test who actually cared about me versus my bank account. I called a family meeting claiming I needed urgent help because I'd failed a random substance test at work and lost my nursing license effective immediately. The real kicker was my confession that I'd accidentally taken pills my sister left in my car, thinking they were for headaches after a brutal shift, but they turned out to be something very illegal she'd been hiding. I also claimed I'd been borrowing from dangerous loan sharks to cover all their emergencies, and now without my job I couldn't pay the $100,000 I owed with interest climbing daily. My sister's first words were, "You're lying to cover up your substance problem and now you've ruined everything for attention like always." She refused to admit she'd even been in my car that week even though she'd borrowed it twice. My cousin said losing my income was selfish when his restaurant was finally taking off thanks to my investment. My uncle actually laughed, saying, "Guess you can't judge my gambling anymore since you're the one who owes violent people money now." Not one person offered to return even a penny of the $200,000 they'd drained from me to help save my life, and my sister wouldn't even back up a car story to save my career. I told my family I was too ashamed to leave the apartment while secretly still working night shifts, and within days the contrast became devastating. My elderly neighbor, who I'd only helped carry groceries, knocked on my door after my sister loudly discussed my drug problem in the hallway, pressing her entire social security check into my hands. The hospital janitor, who barely spoke English, saw me crying in the supply closet and brought $8,000 in a paper bag, explaining, "You stayed with my daughter when she died and I was stuck in traffic. I couldn't take their money, but I'd never forget their faces." The homeless veteran I used to sneak extra blankets to heard about my situation from my uncle at the liquor store, so he organized his crew to patrol my block. Even the coffee cart lady started bringing me free meals after overhearing my cousin. After 2 months of watching my family distance themselves while strangers tried to save me, my sister showed up with legal documents for bankruptcy and power of attorney. "Since you've destroyed your life with drugs and loan sharks, I'll handle what's left of your assets as the responsible sister." She'd already told everyone I was a drug addict who owed money to criminals and destroyed the family's reputation. I pulled out Eleanor's will and the $45 million inheritance documentation, while my sister's jaw hit the floor. Funny thing about substance tests is that I never actually failed one. And fascinating fact about loan sharks is that I never borrowed from any because I've been rich for months just watching which family members would let me die over money. My family scrambled with excuses and sudden memories of our deep bond while demanding their fair share of Eleanor's gift. Instead of giving in to their demands, I gave fair shares to the people who actually deserved them. I paid for the janitor's citizenship lawyers and set up college funds for all 3 of his kids because kindness shouldn't depend on language. I flew my neighbor to Mayo Clinic and covered every bill for the cardiac specialist she needed because she offered her last dollar without being asked. I bought a building downtown and turned it into a fully staffed rehabilitation center for the veteran and his crew because they stood guard over someone who just gave them blankets. My family got exactly what they gave when they thought loan sharks would break my legs, which was nothing but distance and judgment. I moved to Denver last week where the mountain air feels like freedom, and I've already found a new kind of family and coworkers who bring me coffee without being asked, and patients who say thank you like they mean it.